Okay. So the plan for today will be to look at this PR and rebase it. It's been a couple of months old, and then it's also missing a couple of features. There is an RFC, and we're going to check the RFC to see what's missing. The main thing that's missing, I believe, is the command line argument handling to configure the logging features that we want. So, like, we're introducing a new command line parameter, and that needs to be added to this PR. So let's see how far behind this code is. It is behind. How many commits do we have to rebase? Oh. So there would be another PR maybe. Maybe I already have that somewhere. Okay, let's pretend it belongs. Okay. So the first commit did not succeed. Oh, the first commit was already on the master branch. That's why it was ignored by the rebase, and now I just have to work with the second one. And I have plenty of conflicts. Cool. Well, conflicts, merge conflicts, that's the story of my life. So we're going to work on that. That is better. Actually, it's even better to have just one per line. This way, if anyone adds something in the future, the chance that we're going to get a merge conflict is going to be even smaller. There we go. That's all we have. Next one. All right. So this difference here is because I have another PR merge earlier that reworks entirely the profiling, and I see here the only thing that I remember I changed in that function was this line, and so since the function is just not there anymore, we can simply ignore that. And it's going to be the same here. This function doesn't exist anymore, and this is the only thing I had changed in it. And the other things we're going to look at a case-by-case basis. All right, so what does it say? Yeah, all this gone away. So I can remove. This function does not exist either, because now in the new version it's default. And now we are talking about the real thing. Okay, so what's going on here? Okay, so what is new is this the string, I think, that has changed. That this PR was replacing has changed. Oh, see, like period is different. Cool. So put this out. I'm going to just skip the phrasing. It's spatial, not geospatial now. this logic has been moved to a different function. And so we're going to equip the logging in that other function in the same way. So this was an ops, and that might be sufficient. Oh, no. Oops. So as you can see here, this entire PR is about adding logging channels. So all the log calls will get a prefix before the logging function, opt-in prefix. And the idea is that different channels can and will be configured to go to different places, to different files, and we'll hopefully have also network logging. And then it's going to be much easier for an operator to focus on just one type of logging messages. And so over time, I hope that we will have some agreement on the specific choice of channels that we propose. So we have ops, then what else do we have? Well, there is a list. The list is in the RFC somewhere. But right now, I'm still busy with just completing my rebase. It's been 2 months. This code has not moved for 3 months. So I'm just going to add the missing calls and just pretend that my own interpretation of the code did not exist. So this is ops, ops, ops. In general, I would say everything in a given package that is of interest to user is likely to go to the same logging channel. Like everything in the server package is likely to go to the ops channel, because that's what happens in the server package is operator stuff, and therefore it makes sense to go to the ops channel. But there might be, we also have a performance channel, so maybe some things there will go to performance. All right, so this diff is odd. Do drain, deprecate probe indicator. Oh, that's a rebased diff. Yeah, this change has been made on the master branch. So I keep this code, and here I keep this code, but I add thing. Why does it say suspicious? I don't know. So this file is fine. This is a rebase diff. This is an else branch that disappeared, and it disappeared because in 21.1 we do joins differently. So that thing disappears. That does remain, but we make it an ops output. And this one is different. We don't do start heartbeat anymore. We do it with node liveness that starts. That's fine. We just keep the logging here, and we convert it to ops. All right. What is Pragmata Pro? I'm sorry, I have to ask. I am not looking at the chat all the time. It's on my phone next to the stream. Next to the screen, sorry, a bit lower, so I don't see it. So every time there will be questions in the chat, it might take me 5 minutes to get it. But it's a font. I see. I have not learned of Pragmata Pro yet. The font I'm using is called Iosefka, and it is open source. And this is a website for this font, and this is what I use. Usually, and you see it's pretty wide usually, but because I'm used to have multiple panes of the editor side by side, and I have to change my resolution for streaming, I also added a flag to make it narrower. That's why it's actually scaled 20% narrower on my screen here right now during streaming. Otherwise, I would make it a bit wider for my own use. I hope that helps. Keep the questions coming. All right, so here we have a pretty big rebase change, which probably needs to adapt a little bit. I don't know yet how exactly, we'll see. And then there will be this little merge rebase. So why is this code disappearing? Oh, I know why it's disappearing. It's because my PR is actually removing this initialization, because those loggers become kind of global objects. So we don't need them anymore. I love codes that gets deleted in the morning. Yo. Yes. And the reason why there was a merge conflict is because the API changed since I rebased, but now I'm deleting the code, so I don't care. Yeah, if I'm not seeing anything confidential, I will probably upload to YouTube. I don't know how that works. I don't know if there is a limit on the length of videos that go to YouTube. Given I'm doing 90 minutes, might need, well, I'll see. I have to discover this. This is my first time. I know about the feature because I saw it come by when I was trying things out. But it's my first time doing a full length thing, and therefore I will probably need to try things out. Okay, so here we have a SQL perf, I suppose. And the others aren't changed. Oh, there is no limit. That is great. What tool are you using to add all the extra symbols to Golang? That is cool. That I like this question. It took me forever to figure that out. I'm using this prettify symbols mode in Emacs, and I'm using this list of substitutions. Maybe more, maybe I added a few since, but Emacs does substitution on display, so they're not modified in the file. And each of these characters are standard Unicode characters, so that's why they work fine on my screen. Cool. So what's changing in this merge conflict is that I got rid of the secondary loggers. So I'm going to keep the remainder of the code because probably my coworkers added codes there, but I can remove the rest. So what we do when we do this kind of merge conflict resolution is that after everything has been resolved, we need to go and verify the combined diff. I'm going to review my own diff from the start to ensure that I didn't break the code. So for example here, I don't remember this function. So I know this code has been modified, so the PR I made modified it somehow. I don't know exactly how and why, but what this diff is also telling me is that in the current version of the code on the master branch, this function doesn't exist, and then my PR modifies it. And so does it matter that I modify it in my code? Yeah, it probably does. You see, there is a channel thing here, and because we don't have this function anymore, I unfortunately will have to look at the code. I'm going to keep this one for later. Actually, the entire log package, given that most of where the changes are occurring, I need to look at them last. So let's look at the last file here. So that's fine. And now we're going to do the logging changes a bit more carefully. So add structured is modified, but it's not modified. So let's see this. Okay, so where is add structured? It's possible I moved it to a different file. No, it doesn't look like it. Oh yes, I did. Look at this. So this means that this function did not exist in my diff, but it does exist now. And in the other file, it didn't exist in the other file, but now it exists in my diff. So that means that function has been moved. And so we need to ensure that the patch that was performed on it is also moved, which is going to take me a little while because I don't actually remember how this works. Okay, so that is going to be a little bit of work. That's actually okay. So let's do this a bit carefully. So before I go there and deal with the merge conflicts, I'm going to look at my original diff to see what I was doing, because this way I will get back into understanding what's going on. I want the patch option, and this way I will also remind myself what was the nature of the change. Yeah, of course. Util log, thank you. Okay, so new file, channels.go. I don't have too much opinions about new files. Okay, clog.go. I remove the call to as structured, and instead I use logdef directly. So what this tells me here is that I probably understood that that structure was not actually a desirable function. And so probably we could get rid of it entirely and instead do logdef and then pass the target channel for the log file in as argument to function. Okay, so just looking at this diff tells me that if I see a reference to the as structured in the new code, probably I can remove it. I need to be careful to replace it. So that would explain why I got the merge conflict. Okay, so what else am I doing in this? So I have a test function. So I'm not expecting any conflict on this file, I think, because I don't recall there were any changes there. Crash reporting, we are going to use the channel. I'm not really expecting conflict here, it's fine. Flags, I don't exactly remember what I did here, but I also know I need to rewrite it. That was my hope for today. Here are comments changes, and here there is a big change in this function called setup reduction and CDR redirects. Let's see what it is. Let's see what it is. So there was code that was saying, simplifies the conditional instead of a big conditional under if I have a sequence of conditionals instead. And then I rewrote most of the function, and then at the end there is a function that gets unexported. Okay. And then a big chunk of code disappears, and then simplified code. And then a new function that takes over a brace from the previous code and otherwise doesn't do anything. Okay, so I think we can do this one first because it's pretty condensed. That's flags.go. So what does flag.go tell us? All right. We have a conflict here. All right. This is only useful in tests. Yeah, so I remember I changed this code so that becomes test only. And so therefore this prototype for the function is actually better. So I'm going to keep the prototype, but I'm going to keep my new comment because here I talk about the channel. Next point, conflict here. So what's going on here? Forces the creation of a log file, and then there is some kind of tells this logger to capture internal CDR writes, and I don't have it here. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so that means the code in between so changed. So let's see what other change was made in that area. Okay, there was another comment. Want to become famous? Oh, this is spam. Look at this. I got my first Twitter spam. I don't know how to get rid of it. Yeah, like this. And then like this. You. Cool. Cool. Okay, so what did I change in this file? I changed this. Okay, so that looks like a bug fix. So I probably need to keep that. Yeah, that was in a separate PR after I made my logging changes. So here I need to do some surgery to keep the change. So that is this bit of code. I want to keep that. Okay. And so it forces the creation of a file and the direction, and it also introduces a timestamp marker. So I can probably keep this comment. So this code is good. I want to keep it. And so this code is the old code. And now we have this thing here, which is new, and that corresponds to the bug fix. Now, the thing is, though, my new code here, I have a cleanup function that calls tdr cleanupfn, and then does this. Now I see. So that's just a name change, and the body of the function here is also here, so I can simply just keep the current code, and that works. Now, override channel directory. So here there were changes, but I know here from this other diff that what changes is the structure of the hint. So if the structures of the hints had changed, then I probably just need to put that hint to the place where it belongs. So where is my hint? Cannot enable reductible logging without a logging directory. Do I have that somewhere else? Yeah, here. That's where I need my hints. So I'm going to take this hint and move it here. There you go. Then I have this code. And then I have this, and that looks fine. Override channel directory. I'm not super 100% confident that I did the right thing, but we're going to compare the diff before after and see if it makes sense. The way I'm going to do this, I'm going to verify whether my code prior to the rebase and after the rebase do not change for anything else than the things that had changed on the master branch. And that's kind of easy to see on the screen. So we're going to do that later. But in any case, this file, which I thought would be complicated, is done. Now, next one. clog.go, what happens there? I got some migration, so this field went from here to here, and there is another field coming here, and there's mu here, means it's under mu text now, and reset active, which was a function, got deleted, and then there was some code movement. So ensure file locked and write file locked went somewhere else. So we're going to see where they moved, but that means I went to some other file, or maybe here actually. Okay, so all this here doesn't look like big changes, but what I do see though is what I like to see is that there is a report panic refactor that entirely deleted this function. So if that function was deleted as well as the function next to it, and unless it was moved somewhere, which I'm going to check now by reviewing this entire commit, and it's not moved somewhere else, and it has not, that means I can ignore the fact the function does not exist and just remove it. I like deleting code. There we go. Anything else? No. Cool. Crash reporting. All right, what did we do there? So another report type, another condition here, sure. some comments modified. Oh, and the conditional here was a bit complex and actually was erroneous, and it was fixed by greatly simplifying the code here. Okay, I like that. So this conditional here is from the old code that we don't want to keep, and that's the new code, which is simpler. So I'm just going to ignore this old code and just see what kind of changes I made. So I see here there is a conditional and with the new channel, and there is a channel going here. So we're going to take the new code and do the same. So that's going to be an ops.shout for here. And is that all? If we're logging to stdr, panic as error. Yeah, that looks like it's fine. I think that's the only thing I needed to change. So old code goes away. Cool. Next. I still don't know what structured did, but I kind of remember what happened with those functions. They got deleted because they got moved somewhere else. And that means I might be able to remove them. However, I'm kind of annoyed because I know I moved them somewhere else, but I also know I changed them. So I need to reconcile this a little bit. So what changed on the master branch? So vinfo got added. That's a new function. Okay, we'll deal with that later. And then there was format with context tags somewhere in the shoutf function, which is new. Okay. Oh, wait, no, that's much older. Yeah, so my data, my PR probably has no problem with this. So the only conflict is on this shoutf function. What happened to it? Nah. It does have it, the format with context tags already. Or is it maybe that my PR moved that to a different file and didn't take? Let's see. Where is the code? Shoutf in channels.go would be here, I think. Yeah. And then it does call this, and then I have this, and I have the function here. So everything looks fine. So I would say that code can probably disappear. So what changed otherwise? Oh, vinfo. vinfof. That's the thing that changed. So yeah, I know why it conflicted. There was the PR that I made was deleting this entire segment of the file, but then another PR came along to add this function in the middle. So if it does this, obviously, it's not going to work very well. So we have an infof and we have a vinfof. And that is a bug, actually. I just noticed there's a bug here. So this function, which was added on master, which to the author's defense, I reviewed and approved, didn't notice it's actually, it has a bug. It has two bugs, actually. My gosh, it has two bugs. And so as we take this over, we are going to fix that bug. But the way I'm going to fix this bug by rewriting the function, and to do this, I will simply delete the code that I was aiming to delete, including the new function. And then the moment where this function gets called somewhere else, that's going to complain the function doesn't exist anymore, I'm going to rewrite it. Only then. Who knows, maybe it even has disappeared. Structure. So what is this thing here that got disappeared? Let's see. Add structured got modified in some earlier PR, and then this PR that I'm checking doesn't use it anymore, maybe? Oh yeah, look at this. That is all the calls have been removed, and so we can delete it entirely, except this comment makes a reference to it. This is true when event internal is called from add structured, but add structured doesn't exist anymore. So there's something else that replaced it in my PR, and I will need to update the comment accordingly. So what replaced it? What replaced it? We go to log channels, I suppose. See what is being called here. That's log fdev. And that's about it. Yeah, that is it. That is it. We have a resolved merge conflict, I think. And so when we have that, we do rebase, continue, keep. Let's see. Commit message seems to have rebased. Exciting. So what happens after rebase? We are going to visually inspect the results. So we have this. This is the patch as I just wrote it. So I'm going to put that. And then I'm going to do git reflog. My previous version of the code was somewhere. I think that would be this one. Is that the previous version? No, that's a new version. How does the reflog work again? Moving from master to maybe this one? No, then this other one. It's this one. Yeah. So patch and one. And I called it d1, d2.diff. And now we're going to compare them. That's the original one. And that's the second one. It's the new, the old one, sorry. Okay, d1 is a new one. d2 is the old one. Okay, so we can compare them visually, of course, but that's no fun. It's a better thing to do to compare the diffs with the diff command. That's the best we can do. So d2 is the old one, d1 is a new one. And then we're going to watch this. Okay, so that's what I did during my rebase, plus the other thing that happened in the master branch. So I remember this. We put the files on multiple lines. Then we had the GC profile code was deleted, so I'm okay with that. The initial SQL code got a log info. Yeah, logs info. Yeah, okay, I'll be okay with that. Why do I have so much diff in this file? Oh, all the master changes are here too. Okay, works for me. Then we have this little diff here. Okay, negligible difference. Then we have some messaging here. And then we have this code moved to the other file, so I'm okay with that. That is similar to what we had, so that's okay. All this is neutral. The message for this warning has changed. We got our login channel changed, so that's fine. All this fine, all this fine, all fine. Here, channel change, fine. Pre-start, yeah, that was a PR of mine. Change the logging, everything's fine. Let's see. So all this code about creating loggers is removed in the in my PR. So we see here underlying change in the master branch, but we don't care about it because we're just removing the code entirely. This change is preserved, so everything is fine here. Here we remove the definition in the struct, so that's also fine. We're still fine. Then we have this function was deleted entirely, so that's fine too. Then here, oh yeah, this conditional, the complexity of the conditional was removed, and instead we have simpler calls, so that's also fine. Import difference, so fine too. Yeah, so this code was reworked, simplified in the master branch. And so we're just keeping the hint change. And other than that, well, we reviewed it manually, so it should be fine too. This vinfo should be there, and then we really deleted it. And so, that's going to be a problem to solve. We'll see. And the rest seems innocuous. Cool. Okay, so the diff seems sane. So we're going to try it. And we try it by running some tests. That's the tests that were already there. And then we'll see what the build has to say about it. Now I just have to wait. I wish that the coloring in the make output was disabled, or CMake in this case was disabled when the output is not a terminal. They put the terminal codes all the time, even when the output is not able to visualize them. All right, some mistake. So I made a boo-boo. And the reason why is because my function is now called cleanup for testing only. Okay, sure. seclogger.logf. I remember that. I was keeping the code, but it's now lowercase because it's not exported anymore. And now for testing only. Letter C. Letter C. And a game of waiting. So I'm just taking the logging package because I'm really fingers crossing that all my changes are behavior neutral. Well, except when it's not. I'll get there. But then, because like the logging channel is creating new APIs for the remainder of the code to work with. Oh, that's interesting. So here's a build for this logging package has actually triggered compilation of the SQL package. So the reason for this is that because the tests in the logging package, which is in principle a leaf package in our code base, exercise the logging code using the SQL layer. So why would we want to choose to do that? Well, it's because the logging package also contains our crash reporting code. And our crash reporting code has been tailored to ensure that the error reports, crash reports for SQL they look nice and proper, that they contain all the details we need for investigating SQL errors. And therefore, the test in this log package needs SQL. I would say it's not exactly the right encapsulation, because if we had SQL sensitive behavior in crash reporting, we could probably have a separate testing package for the SQL dependencies on the log package, or a test file in the SQL package about this. But the reason why we did this way is probably, I don't know for sure, but probably because the crash reporting tests use non-exported APIs. And so idiomatically in Go, it's better to have those tests in the same package because APIs are not exported. Anyway, so that's why we need SQL, even though it's not a SQL package. And that's why we got a problem here. And so the problem, of course, is that the secondary logger has been changed. Aha. And now I have two different loggers, a slow query logger and a slow internal query logger. And so why do we have this? Is because someone came along probably and said, well, SQLperf.logf, by the way, that was my mistake. And probably not logf, probably needs to be infof, I think. Well, that's, you see, a case of me not reading my diff properly. Let's look at it again. So that was exec.log.go. So yeah, we have sensitive access, SQLperf, SQL exec, and they're all infoFs. So it needs to be an infoF here. But now we have two different loggers here, and I'm removing those loggers. So I need to learn a little bit about what happened in the exec code to see what I need to modify to bring it back in line with the design that I'm trying to move forward with. So the sensitive access, we're fine with that. That's my PR. That's not what I want. I want to have this on master. Okay. Wait, why is it not picking up just those changes? Oh, it is exec log. Okay, see. All right. So we have slow query reasons, that's new. Then we have logger.log. Okay, I'm okay with that. But then we have a slow internal query enable log. So separate log. All right. So there is someone who said maybe the developer of CockroachDB will want to see internal queries in logs, but the end user will not want to see internal queries. So we want to have the option to emit them, but we also don't want to emit them to the same place because otherwise it's going to be confusing. So I have some hard time understanding if the feature is not enabled by default, why does it hurt to put the internal queries in the same log file? I mean, like if the user decides to enable the settings, they might as well want to have a single log file as output. I don't know what the answer to this is. But I'm also aiming for a PR that is feature neutral, and therefore, as much as it pains me to do this, we have to solve this by separating the channels. See, there is a SQLperf here. That's a channel in the new abstraction. And this channel is defined as a channel for everything that is related to performance analysis for end users. So according to the source code here, that's not adequate enough anymore because we instead want to separate internal from external. Well, I don't like it, but I will accept it. But there is now a generator for this code, so I can just add channels to this. So where are all the channels? Enum channel. So I need to find this. It's in log.proto. And now, just for the sake of following the current code, we're going to have, unfortunately, a SQLperf internal. And I'm not going to copy paste everything. Perf internal is like SQLperf, but aim at helping CockroachDB developers. Developers of CockroachDB itself. It exists as a separate channel so as to not pollute the SQLperf logging output with internal troubleshooting details. So don't ask me why my text editor doesn't do the spacing on the comments properly. I don't care. So I have a new channel, and because I have a new channel, I need to regenerate the file, and I will do that. Does this work? Looks like it. Did it copy the file to... Oh, Oh, this makes me sad. My script did not split the words properly and it got confused. That is not great. And the reason why it's happening this way, probably, and I don't want to troubleshoot this right now, is because probably the prefix matters. Yeah, let's cross fingers. Yeah, look at this. Logger SQL internal perf. So we have a new section in our file now with all the code for the new channel. Isn't that great? This is our new channel. And how do we do channels? Because channels are objects. And so that's what we are going to do. Channels. I want this to be a channel. So these channels are supposed to be implementing some interface. What is the interface they are implementing? I don't remember what they're implementing. Is there something that we can get a reference out of? I think so. There must be an interface, right? I hope there is an interface. Channel. Channel? Oh, it's just an int. That's not great. Well, you know what? You know what? And so there needs to be a default. So there must be a default channel to start with. So the first one is going to be SQL perf log channel. Yeah, that's sounds fine. Yeah, better if I don't put this. Makes me anxious. Why is this code written this way? What was the default value for the logger variable? Oh, look at this. If it's not nil. Ah, that is what it is. That is what it is. Okay, so we probably need a value that's not valid. It's an int32 and also positive value are taken. So we're going to do this. And then we're going to say log.channel SQL perf. And then we're going to do log.channel SQL internal. Where is my? Oh, it hasn't reloaded the new file yet. I don't mind. SQL internal perf. All right. So except it's not a logger variable anymore. And now here, I'm going to send the thing to a channel. And so how does that work? I forgot, but we're going to find it. Log.go, I think. Log.go, clog.go, info. What is the magic incantation to send something to a channel by parameter? Log channels. I will try this. Depth. All this is sending me to I don't know what to say. I need to send my thing to this, but I also don't want to call logfdepth directly. So do I have a function that takes a channel as a parameter, or did I make my API a bit too dumb and did I force it to see these functions here? I like this a lot. But they are not exported, which is not great. They're not exported yet. And this was not correct. All right, so we're going to... oh, I know why it's making mistakes here, because I haven't compiled the protobuf definition file yet. I will get there. All right, so now I'm going to do log.logf cdx log.severity info log.channel and then the messages. And there we go, I think, with a comma. There we go. Okay, so what's going on here is that I wanted to make my channel a dynamic runtime parameter. And so if it's not, if it's valid, let's put it this way, and want logs, then I go to the right thing. Cool. That sounds reasonable. But now that I'm seeing all this, I also realize that I do need to go through a compilation of the interbinary before I get to my test, because I need to regenerate the protobuf. So let's do this first. All right, I don't think it is just developers of CockroachDB itself. I think the idea is that the user doesn't have any control over internal queries, but they still may be slow, so we should know them separately. But why separately? I mean, that's the real question here I have to ask. So first of all, you can see the setting has not been enabled by default. So if a user comes to us and say, I think things are slow, they're not able to self-serve because the setting is disabled by default. So the idea to send them to a different file would be fine with me if we were to do that by default the moment we enable the slow query log. I don't understand why internal queries need to be enabled separately. The second thing is that suppose we want to keep the setting opt-in, meaning that the user only enables it when they really suspect internal queries. And what is really the drawback of having them go to the same log file as the regular slow query log? Why do we insist on having a separate log file? I don't know. So I'm not going to discuss this on this PR because, of course, as you can see, I'm trying to keep the behavior the same for the code that was already written. But I did trip on this. So we can discuss later, if you will. All right, so this is what we had expected, the vinfof call here. So this vinfof was a shortcut, so it occurs 4 times in the file. And what it really wants to do is to simplify the following pattern. If log.v, then log.info. So if we have these 3 lines over and over again, we want to factor it in one place. Yeah, well, that is fine. However, the function called capital V has a particular meaning. And that meaning dependent, it analyzes the place in the code where it was called. And that means that we can put it in a different function and expect it to work the same. I think. But we can try. We can try. This is not exactly an exercise for this PR. Should I do this now? Should I do this later? I feel uncomfortable with this. I feel uncomfortable with this. So because of there was a bug in here, I have no choice but to go and fix that bug, because I need that bug to be fixed to move forward with my PR. So I'm going to stage all these changes I just made, including that little thing I just did. No, let's just kill that. So no, I don't want to stage all the changes. I don't want the MVC thing. I just want the log thing. All right. So this is my PR. I'm going to go and quickly fix that bug because because it is a problem. Vinfo, and we are going to go there. Come on, my computer is slow. Why is it slow? I press the key and it's not responding. Don't know why. It got utterly confused and I have zero idea why. My life is misery. Where's the info? clog.go, I suppose. No. The info. The info, I said. The. It's not there. It's here. Okay, so that's incorrect. Why is it incorrect? It's because it's dependent on vdepth. And so that's where we are fixing this bug with this. That is better. That is how you fix this. Yeah. Yep. And so I'm going to say log fix f. The function is meant to respect the module setting as a point. It is called this was incorrectly done with the call to v. This branch fixes it. Does this need a release note? Nobody in our users would notice. Cool. Who is going to review this? Probably the last person who changed it, and that's going to be Oliver. Hi, Oliver. Okay. All right. Now I know what to do. I'm going to come back, and my generation code needs to be taught about the event, the info, because it's a pretty common severity level. So we need that. Severity on a channel. That's what we will want. And that's the non-formatting version of it. And then we have the depth version of it. And I'm going to ignore that for a second. Do we already have variants for no, not yet. So like this. So v logs the channel with severity if logging has been enabled for the source file where the call is performed via the module setting. The tracks log tags for the context and logs at the provided verbosity level. Okay. So then we have the channel comment, then we have a severity comment, then I'm going to have v here, and then I'm going to have a verbosity flag here. Is it an int or is there another thing for verbosity? I don't remember. V. Is it not in this file? Where do I have the verbosity is going? Trace, maybe. Trace. Yeah, that looks fine. Level, no. Level, so it's v event. Where is v depth? And the depth. Oh, it's what? Where is the v function defined? That's interesting. V? Oh, it's a level. It is a level. There we go. So the depth is fine, and I'm going to do if depth at sys at level 1, then to sys. I think that should be fine. Do I get my v depth functions? Look at this, v warning f. Isn't that magical? And that means that now in my pgwire module, where I was here, all these calls that were invalid will become valid automatically. What is he telling me? No. Yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go. Oh, I have another complaint about secondary loggers. I know how to deal with that. I don't care much. Yeah. Except it didn't like it. Oh. Okay, so there's something else going on. I forgot to specify a channel, obviously. And also, there is a separate API that is not on a channel, that is at the global scope here. And to alias the dev channel. So the dev channel is the one that is used if you don't specify a channel. And so I need to also do the thing on this line for the benefit of the dev channel. And of course, I want to copy paste this comment. There we go. So that will take care of that. But we are on the dev channel here. And is the dev channel fine? Or is there anything else we want to report to an end user? Like, is there anything here that is worth telling a user? Not really, yeah? Okay. So I'm going to say it's fine. So we have a that one to care about now. Okay, what is it saying? Init rocksdb logger, and that is nicely returning nil now. That doesn't seem very useful now, is it? Oh, it's a short one. Oh, because we have a long one next to it, I suppose. Let's see what the long one does. Aha, see, it's not there. Look at this. This PR is not keeping the logging for logsdb. So we're going to see what it says. Rocksdb.go. Init rocksdb logger entirely disabled. Isn't that magical? That function can go away. Bye. Now what is it telling me? Oh, that was the only one remaining. Okay, so maybe I'm fine now. Who knows? Yeah, look at this. No errors anymore. Oh. Aha. Ahaha. Okay. That is something I did not pay attention to. The merge conflict was telling me something about it, and I forgot about it. I was kind of not paying attention. My problem. So what does it say here? Node startup completed. And it says, if start ctx.in background logging to stdr, and I need the channel. That is what I had forgotten. We can deal with that. Yay. Okay, so remember we were getting that built so that the SQL layer would be able to compile so that we could run our logging tests. And now we are going to run the logging tests at last. Let's see. That is long because it needs to compile the test code from the SQL package again. That's fine. Aha! Test failures. Okay, I'm good with test failures as long as there are not too many of them. And that seems to be the keys here. Look at this, cannot open this output file. No such file or directory. So what is this telling me? I don't know yet what it's telling me, but something about the test file not being ready. Logging error. And so I don't even know which test failed. Oh, I didn't know what test failed because I did not use the test flags. Cool. Okay, I can deal with that. So which failed? Oh, they did not fail. Look at this. This test was run and then failed with... So the panic here, I don't mind. The fact there is a panic is part of the test. So that's the fact that this test is running with for crash reporting, that's what I want. But then I have this exit override call that is failing with an error, and then the entire thing just miserably fails, and that's no good. So we're going to just verify that this is indeed a test that is offending us. And no, it was not. Ooh, that is not great. So this test succeeds, but the test in the entire package doesn't. Ooh. Now it's going to become interesting. So, okay. So what is going on here? So we need to look at those tests running one by one, see which one is the ones that failed. Is there any fail here? No, there isn't. Then we're probably going to want to run the things in just one file at a time. So what do we have? So we have this one. So I think I'm going to try to run the tests by file. So this file first, just those. Yeah. Fingers crossed. Next one will be clog test. So the reason why it's taking so slow is that every time you run Go tests, it has to rebuild the test binary. So something I don't fully get is that Go test doesn't really do as much caching as I would like it to. Okay, so this file is fine. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking each of the test files one by one to see which is the one that causes my entire test level, package level run to fail. Okay, yeah, okay, that's not going to help. It's running all of them, and I know that's not going to work. Okay. I don't see a failure. So that's kind of a bummer. If all the tests or groups of tests in this particular case succeed when run like this, but then the entire package doesn't succeed, that means that the order of the tests is so things that matters. And that is that is some of the most annoying things to troubleshoot. So I have two ways I do this when it happens, because I'm still hoping it's not that, but unfortunately it doesn't look like I did all the files. And yeah, so that's going to fail. Okay, so I have no choice but to investigate this. And so the way I do this, I'm going to save my logging output. And now I'm going to run my package with those random subsets of my tests, just because I hate my life. Redirect. Yeah, I did test that. Okay, so let's try this. I'm going to say tests is going to be test secondary or test crash reporting packet. So I know this one needs to be included because that's the one that is failing. And then for good measure, I'm going to include the last few that run. I'm going to hope that any of these things is sufficient. And then if it is, maybe I'm lucky, who knows. If I'm lucky, I can then eliminate them, and we can do a nice sort of bisection, maybe. Yeah, Lee. This is good. Now I'm lucky. So what I do here, I will take, let's say, everything before test race, and then cross my finger that I get my problem. Nope, I didn't. Nice. Okay, so what this tells me is that so everything between test race and test event log and trace is not part of my problem. So I take my original thing here with all the tests that cause a problem, and I remove those that I know are not a problem. Like this. Oh, and I say test trace was fine. Yes, it was. And then try this. Yes, this is good. Okay, let's try something else. So what is likely? So I'm going to remove this list log file because list log file doesn't really have any complex behavior. Yep. Okay, now we have test secondary GC, test secondary log, and test redirect CDR. I have a hunch that if I remove redirect CDR, I'm going to be fine. And that means I can then ignore the test secondary. Yep. Okay. So it's this pair. See, if I look at test, no, not this pair. Sorry. Which pair? This pair. Yeah. CDR redirect with secondary logger active, test crash reporting packet, one after the other. Something not happy. Cool. Where is it? Redirect stdr. This one. Okay, let's back reverse engineer that test. What does it do? Take over CDR. Testing reset active. What does this do? You clear the active bit. Yeah, because we have some kind of programmer mistake avoidance scheme here to not initialize logging multiple times. So that's what it does. And because we're going to call this function. Oh, this function we had. This is interesting. Yeah, so I think that what I did here is invalid. I'm creating this cleanup for testing only, which is a cleanup function, but then the stdr cleanup fn is not being assigned anywhere, but it used to before. Oh, it is here. Oh, wait, maybe actually I'm fine. Anyway, so that's the area probably where I need to be looking. So it initializes the CDR redirect, then it creates a secondary logger in the directory with some parameter, puts some output in there, and then it verifies that the stdr text has not been captured by the loggers, that is going to its own file. So that's what the test wants to do. But then at the end of the test, it does something whereby the next test doesn't work anymore. And that's really funny. We see that here actually very clearly. I didn't pay attention to this the first time. I didn't even read the message, because if I had read it, I would have already exactly knew what was wrong. Hindsight 2020, always. This error message was produced under this test, but the message was telling me about another test, because you see the name of the test is in the name of the directory. So just looking at this error message, I would say, how come is this test reporting an error from another test? And then I would also have known that only this other test was relevant in the investigation. So this bisection I was doing was actually not necessary. Just wasted some time. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, so what do we do with this? Exit override. Exit override. Line 59. What is it complaining about? So what's going on here is that this code has been called from somewhere, and because the directory had been deleted already, and that's fair because the previous test has finished, and therefore because it's using a testing directory specific to the test, when the test finishes it deletes its directory. And so there is a logger somewhere that tries to create some output file for, so that's the ops channel in this directory. So there are two, so the thing I know here from just this message is that we're looking at the ops channel. This tells me two things: that somewhere in this test I have some logging output going to the ops channel. I would say that's fair. That makes me comfortable. And then separately, that this ops channel is still using the output file from the previous test. And that's not fine, because every time a test finishes and a new test starts, all the logging channels should start anew with new fresh files, and it's not doing it. So I don't yet know what has caused this channel to complain. Well, I don't know yet, but we'll find out. And the way I do this is with this. Get a start trace. Where has this function been called? Oh, that might not actually work. Might not actually work. We'll see. The reason why it might not work is because the previous test is redirecting all the standard error writes to a file. And so if that logic is broken somehow, my write here is going to be ignored. That's going to be fun, maybe. If it's ignored, it's possible, but if it's ignored, the way to fix that is to create another file or open the TTY for manually writing to it. We'll see. Did it write anything? No, look at this. I have my stack trace. Cool. Okay, so my ops channel is trying to report something, and then I have a panic. Oh, look at this. Well, no, I'm not surprised anymore. Not entirely surprised. Okay, so this test works by panicking, which calls the logic report panic in the log package, which in turn will show the panic on the screen, which is what we see here. That's fine. And also write this to the output file for the operation channel. And that fails. That's what we're seeing here. Okay, so the ops channel for this test is still working with the previous test. I don't know why yet, but I can tell already that it is a responsibility of the previous test to reset things and make them clean after it ends. It's not a responsibility for another test to start from scratch, so to speak. So what's going on is that the other tests, which is this one, is not cleaning up after itself properly. And so this function, which is supposed to do this, is not doing it. And that would do it. So this function here, what does it do? It does some flushing of the log file, and then it's doing test override to close the log files. And then this function, I would expect, does this for all the loggers. And look at this. It should do it for all the loggers. And does it do it for all the loggers? It closes a file, changes the name of the directory, and then everything should be fine, isn't it? But it's not. That is sad. It's really sad. Okay. Well, I am going to leave it there for now. I'm going to investigate this later. It's going to take me more than the time I have left to myself to wrap up this Twitch session. So stay tuned. We're going to commit those changes and send them to CI to see what other tests might be failing elsewhere. I'm okay with the log package failing. I mean, like, that's where this entire PR is working. So maybe there is some detail in the log package that I need to work on. But I'm still kind of optimistic that the changes are otherwise feature neutral for the rest of the code. So let's send them along. What would be nice to do, though, is to cross-reference what happens on that package in the description of the PR. I want to report here that I have spent time to rebase this. And there is some interference with, and now I need to get the, I don't want patch. I want to have the PR numbers that are relevant. So there's a vinfo change. Reductible log. That would be this one. This sounds like it, except that I don't know which PR is doing this. So I don't know exactly what is a good command to find out which PR contains a particular patch. The way I do this, I find the change, and then I scroll up to find the PR number. Well, actually, I don't need that, right? Simplify, say logging, initialization. Ooh. Oh, it's part of a multi PR, apparently. That's possible. Do I not have? My life is too complicated sometimes. I don't know how to navigate a Git log. I need to learn. And so when I don't know, no, not this. Simplify. Thank you. Yeah. There's that one. That is the one. And if I'm not mistaken, this one too. Yeah, definitely. Which causes some state not to be cleaned up properly after. Name of the test that was failing. would be this one. We'll work on that next. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Well, that was an exciting rebase, and I'm not done completely with the rebase yet because that test is failing. It shouldn't. But that is not a super exciting investigation. I think I will probably do that after my meetings that are starting in 2 minutes. And then the other thing I was planning to do on this PR, which remains, is the handling of the parameters. I might do this on the next stream. I don't know if I'm going to do that next Monday, or maybe because it kind of works fine, I could add an additional stream on Friday. Unsure. It's kind of looks like a little bit like a Friday project. I don't know yet. I will see. Anyway, so if you like this, gives me, I don't know how that works, thumbs up, the things. People know how to do the things nowadays. It's like voicemail, you don't need to be told what to do with it. And I will get all the feedbacks, of course. Cool. And so, see you everyone next time for the next episode. How do I say stop on this? By clicking here.